and purposeful living, a life coach, a servant leader. I also believe that I am an advocate for youth-led change and that I am a women's rights activist. So I have a lot of things that I do, but the core of who I am as a person is really a person that believes in purpose tremendously and runs an organization that pushes that agenda, not only with young people, but across the nation in its entirety. And, Tanya asked me to talk about leadership in trying times, effective leadership in trying times. And, I started thinking about how can I link this back to purpose, because I feel that every little thing that we go through in life, whatever trying times we experience in life, it's usually linked back to why we do the things we do, right? I feel that we're all called to a lot of things, we're all called to different purposes in life, but I feel that what drives us in trying times is passion. And once we understand what we're here to do, what we're supposed to do on this earth, we are able to maneuver through the trying times, right? But then, I'm gonna take this from the very top of what is purpose, right? And because when we don't answer that question, we can't really lead well, right? We can't lead ourselves well and we can't lead others well. So it kind of has to start from the why of why we exist, and then we're able to lead effectively. So when we talk about purpose, we're talking about why you exist, the reason for being. And every single one of us here exists for a reason. We're here for a reason, right? Now, if you look at your life, if you look at your career path right now, many of our career paths have been determined by, in high school, they were determined by what you were good at, right? Whether you're good in sciences, in arts, in commercials, and you were put in these boxes, right? And that's what determined which direction you would go, whether you would become an engineer, whether you become a doctor or a lawyer. But not really, they were not driven by the reason for why we exist. So now what would happen is, if, for example, you were good in sciences but also good in the arts, or maybe let's say you were good at playing the piano but you're also very good at biology and chemistry, what happened to the music?
They would shun it.
They would shun it, right?
Yes.
So you'd lose the music, but you'd be like, just choose the sciences, right? Right, so you'd find that in our career guidance, in our curriculum right now in school, it does not take into consideration the entirety of an individual. It takes into, you have to fit into these cookie cutter sort of boxes, right? If you don't fit in those boxes, then we don't know what career path you're supposed to pursue. But how about if maybe the question is not really about the career path someone is to pursue, but rather what legacy or impact do they want to make in the world? So if we start with that question with young people, right, then we are not determining their career paths based on sciences, commercials, or whatever, not based on their skills and talents, but based on what their vision for their life is, the impact they want to make in the world, right? And that in itself, what that means is that every single skill and gift and talent that you have exists for a purpose. It exists for your purpose. So whether you are good in sciences, whether you are good in the piano, or etc., you're not supposed to direct your career path based on your skill or your talent, but based on what you're supposed to do in the world. So let me give you an example. When I was in high school, I was put into these boxes. I loved art, drawing, painting, and all of that. But I was also good with history, and I was good in interact, I was good in debate, I was good at a lot of things, right? I was even very good at sport, I was good in the softball. I was leading the softball team. So then my teachers were like, you should go and do law. I was like, I'm not sure if that's what I am supposed to do based on all the various things that I'm good at. I'm good at art, and I'm good at sports, and I'm good at debate. What happens to all these other skills? Well, you have to choose one specific thing. Then I was like, I'm not, what you've offered me doesn't seem to fit me in terms of what I want to do. So I was pretty much confused, right? They were telling me, well, we don't know, okay, go into social work. I was like, okay, so what happens to my love for sporty things and art? So there was no, I couldn't fit in a box, right? I couldn't fit in the box that they wanted to put me in. With no box really made sense, right? So for quite a number of years, I ended up doing quite a number of things. I'm just generally very good at marketing. And then I ended up getting into creative agencies, working in creative agencies as a graphic designer because of my art skills. And then I got into marketing, and I've been working for international organizations in the marketing department. But then my skill ended up becoming the determinant of my career path and not really my purpose. But that doesn't mean that if I had listened entirely to career guidance professionals of today, I would have just become a marketing executive, and I would have just sat in an office and just thought, I'm supposed to be a marketer. Marketing for corporates, marketing for NGOs, but not understanding that marketing in itself is a skill and a talent that God has given me for my purpose. It's a skill. Right? Mm-hmm. So what we need to understand is that we were created with purpose, right? And now you need to identify everything that God, don't throw away anything and say it doesn't fit in. How does the painting fit in with the biology that I'm good at? Because there's a reason why you were given that, right? Mm-hmm. But don't get narrowed down and on thinking it doesn't fit in with becoming an engineer. And the question you need to first ask is, why do I exist? Why am I here? And how you answer that question is, what do you want to be remembered for at the end of your life? What do you want people to say about you? What impact do you want to leave on the earth? Because everything else dies and everything else goes. But the only thing that is immortal about us is our legacy. For example, right now, all of us, we talk about Martin Luther King.
Yes.
We never met the man. We never saw him in person. We don't know what he even really looks like, what he looked like in real life. We just know pictures. He didn't have any impact on us personally as a country, but we know about him. The man died in the 60s. But today we're in 2022 and we talk about Martin Luther King. That's immortality, guys. That's legacy. And imagine if Martin Luther King, being maybe a great, let's say maybe he was very good at writing, right? And then maybe one particular teacher told him, well, you're good at writing, so you should become a journalist. He could have spent his whole entire life, if he had listened to that, working behind a news desk in a newsroom, believing that he's called to become a journalist, because his skill would have narrowed him down to that. But rather, he answered the question of, what is my purpose? So every little thing every skill that Martin Luther King had, which was presentation and writing and inspiring people, all of those gifts and talents, he took all of that and used that for his purpose. And his purpose was to create the movement that he created in the US. But the thing is, we are having people starting life and dying, thinking that all I am is a journalist, I'm just a writer, I'm just a, we were all created to make an impact on the world. Your purpose is not only a gift to you because it gives you fulfillment, but it is a gift to the world. So what happens is, if Tanya doesn't give her gift to the world, she has robbed the world of the gift that she was supposed to give. Right? So now let's talk about how purpose actually helps you when you're going through trying times. Even if you look at people who are wanting to start their own initiatives or organizations, it's tremendously difficult to get funding, to get support, to get, resources, right? Tanya, you're running an organization, you absolutely understand this. Yeah. Because even in Zimbabwe, we're not structured to support that. So we're talking about running your purpose in a very trying circumstance, right? So this is why whatever you decide to do, why purpose matters is because it's the passion that drives you. Without passion, you'll give up. Honestly, I think Tanya would have given up. Right? There's too many things, too many challenges, too many difficulties in pursuing this purpose, because you also have to get other people on board, right, to believe in what you want to do. So there is that aspect of, challenges of getting the support not only from your family and friends, but from community, from, society in general. But what is she trying to achieve exactly? What exactly is she trying to do? You can't make sense of it, right? So you lack support from people, from community, from friends, from even your own family. And what is required when it comes to pursuing your purpose is a build of character. So that whole trying times, everything you're going through in trying times is a pruning process. And you might be called to purpose, but purpose in itself, you can fail to achieve your purpose if the trying times do not help you to produce the character that's supposed to help you to get to where you need to go, right? The trying times are good for you because they are also pruning you and making you the leader and the person that you need to be. So don't be resistant to trying times. Don't be resistant to difficulty. Because in a nutshell, life is going to be difficult anyway, whether you pursue your purpose or not. So any trying experience that you get is meant to teach you something. So when you become more welcoming towards difficulty, you are more open to learning, right? We all have strengths and weaknesses, right? And as somebody who's going to pursue your purpose, you have to be able to identify those strengths and weaknesses. And as you start pursuing your purpose, actually those strengths and weaknesses start coming out, right? You begin to realize, actually, I have a short temper. I think that I actually have got a difficulty managing money. You begin to see the weaknesses. So those trying times, actually, God brings those trying times into your life to prune your character, to bring out those things in you that need to be pruned for you to become the perfect leader that He wants you to become. So those difficulties, we must welcome them because they are opportunities for growth. Because the strength that you're going to get, the knowledge you're going to gain because of the trying time, is a knowledge that's supposed to impact and help somebody else. And you cannot talk about purpose and how difficult it is to achieve a purpose and how beautiful it is to have achieved it without have gone through the trying times. Because, for example, Tanya cannot come and talk about how you can run an organization without her knowing how difficult it is to run it. She wants to inspire and she's been called to inspire, right? So she's called to inspire people, but she has to go through some really tough times so that when you go to her and say, I'm having such a hard time starting my own initiative, she'll be like, I can speak from experience and I can tell you how you can overcome these things. So as leaders, we should embrace trying times. We should say, yes, it's a trying time. I'm supposed to learn something from this experience. Supposed to gain something from this experience, right? And this is going to prune my character and it's going to help me. It's going to help me become a better person. And sometimes you do face certain things in your life that are aimed at you realizing areas of improvement. And also because of resilience. I think let's talk about the people that we know who have done amazing things in society. Like Martin Luther King. Think about the trying times he faced. He actually was murdered, right? Like he was killed, right? So think about the fact that he went through so many difficulties in pursuing his purpose. Right? So I think ultimately we must know that in the pursuit of our callings and our purposes in life, we're going to face a lot of trying times. Because honestly, even now, Oprah Winfrey talks about it now from a place of success, but she talks about her failures too. And the only reason why you guys get inspired by people like Oprah Winfrey is because she didn't have it easy. If she had it easy, then you guys wouldn't be inspired to pursue your own paths. You'd be like, if she had it easy, then there's something wrong with me. I'm having it hard. It means that I'm not supposed to be doing this. But because those stories are stories of they overcame so many difficulties, it's to inspire you so that you can continue when things get tough with your purpose. When your family tells you you can't do it, when the money doesn't come together, when you don't get the support that you need, when things fall apart, when you don't get the support, when the people that are supposed to be supporting you don't show up. Those are the stories that are going to help you to shape how you got to where you are, how you overcame those challenges. It's all meant to help you to develop you into the purpose-driven person that God wants you to be. And you know the crazy thing is, if you look even in the Bible, when you see the stories of the people in the Bible, David, the people that were called Moses, think about the trying times that they went through. So being called to a purpose doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. It means that you're going to go through a lot of trying times. And understand that the trying times are all aimed at pruning us and helping us to fine-tune us into the perfect leaders that we're supposed to become. Because without those moments of difficulty, of pain, of disappointment, of failure, of heartbreak, we don't become the leaders that we're supposed to be. And we're not able to relate with the people we're supposed to serve. Have you ever been to a place where, people don't relate with what you're going through, but they're talking about it from a place of disconnect? Whoever you are called to help, you must go through whatever they are going through for you to understand how to help them. Right? This is why sometimes it's so difficult for people to say, this person was born with a silver spoon in their mouth. How can they talk to me about running a business when I grew up in a low-income community? When I grew up in the rural areas and they're telling me that they grew up in a very fancy, maybe Philadelphia or somewhere fancy, right? And they're telling me about running a business.
Mm-hmm.
How do you understand, how do you relate with my situation of not even having $1 for transport, right? And yet wanting to run a successful business. So you sometimes have to go through the things that the people you're supposed to serve have to go through so that you can help them effectively. You can't help them from a place of disconnect. So guess what? God is going to bring those challenges into your life so that on the day that you're supposed to speak to someone, you're going to speak powerfully. And because you're not speaking from a place of abstract inspiration, you're speaking from experience. That I went through this, guys. I know how much this sucks. But let me tell you how I got myself out of it. Let me tell you how I navigated this. Let me tell you how I became this woman. And it's like many of us, when we look at Tanya and all the amazing things she's doing, there are things that she's gone through. Right? There are things that she has been going through and that she has gone through that today she will tell you, I went through this and I went through that and I'm still going through this and I'm still going through that. So I can tell you and I can explain to you how you navigate this, because I didn't just hear about it. I didn't just hear about this experience. I went through the experience. And we're talking about leaders being attacked not only on a professional level, but on a personal level, right? So your personal life is attacked. Your professional life is attacked. So literally everything about you is tried and tested to the max. Everything about your life is tried and tested to the max because it is all meant to prune you. I remember there's a time when I was going through some trying times and I listened to this inspirational speaker on YouTube. And she said that everything that's happening in your life right now is not happening to you but for you. It's not happening to you but for you. Meaning that it's for your own benefit. It's for your own growth. It's for those things that need to be dealt with internally when it comes to your personality and your character, for them to be fine-tuned. What is the lesson? What is the lesson that I'm learning from this experience? If you get stuck on the difficulty of it, you won't be able to go past it. You have to actually try and look at, what am I supposed to learn from this? What does this situation reveal about my personality and my character? What areas of improvement do I need to work on? Do I lack boundaries with people? Am I a people pleaser? What are the things that are causing these issues, right, in your life? Because as much as we're called to purpose, we have to work on our character. And working on character is not easy, but we need to do it. And why I'm saying that you can be attacked on a personal level and a professional level is because the personal can actually be the reason why you fail as a leader. You know, I'm always telling people that when we're talking about, when we go to church, we're always talking about how we should know the enemy, the devil. He comes to kill, to steal, and destroy. But there's a Japanese saying that says that to know yourself, to know your enemy is good, but what is greater is to know yourself. Because when you know yourself, there is nothing that any enemy can use against you. The reason why the enemy gets away with what he gets away with when it comes to you is because you don't know yourself. The minute you sit down with yourself and you understand yourself and you say, I have a problem with, I don't have boundaries. I'm a people pleaser. So guess what? The enemy knows that you're a people pleaser. The enemy knows that you lack boundaries. But you don't know it because you've never sat with yourself long enough for you to do an introspection and understand where your weaknesses lie. So he keeps throwing situations at you that are aimed at destroying you because you lack boundaries. But the minute you realize that this issue keeps happening to me because of, there's something that I am not fixing up in terms of my character, my personality. If I'm able to identify where the weakness is, then I have overcome the enemy. Because the enemy really works through your decision making. How you make decisions, right? So let me give you an example. We're talking about the Bible, and David, for example, was a great man. He did amazing things. But his personal life, that personal life almost destroyed his whole entire life, right? As a leader, as a king. Because there was a weakness that he had. And because he did not sit down with himself long enough to identify where the weaknesses are, the enemy knew where the weakness was. And the enemy manipulated that weakness to bring him down. Even if we talk about Samson in the Bible, the enemy knew Samson's weakness, but he didn't realize what his weakness was. But because he never sat down with himself long enough to be able to do a self-assessment of where his strengths and his weaknesses were, because we thank God for his grace, but he failed at some point because of that. So you need to, as a leader, don't just think that the weaknesses are on the professional side. They are also on the personal side.